I'm afraid I have some rather frustrating news. YouTube has just demonetized my interview, maybe my favourite ever interview, the one from the other night with detransitioner Ritchie Herron. So I'm going to talk about what demonetizing actually is, why ideologues at YouTube do it, and at the end, what you and I can do to curb this ideology. But first, let's get into my interviewee, Ritchie Herron, one of the most fascinating people I've met, a really passionate and eloquent speaker. I'll just play a little bit of this trailer to give those of you who haven't seen it a little glimpse, and those of you who have seen it a little reminder.
I'm like, what the what have I done? What have I done? Why have I done this? This isn't just went bad, this has gone catastrophically wrong, and I'm a freak now. The only sensation I have is like deep pain. I kept having this phrase thrown at us, like, you're an ideal candidate for gender reassignment surgery. There was just like,
oof, an ideal candidate for gender reassignment surgery. They shouldn't be pushing people into this when they don't want to do it. Now, Ritchie is a man who was hoodwinked or tricked by doctors into getting gender surgery. That is, he had his lower parts. I have to be careful lest this video suffer the fate that befell its predecessor. Removed. Lower parts removed. His story is outrageously important for many reasons. Principally, we are so often told by trans rights activists that very few people regret getting surgery. The difficulty here is that we simply don't have enough data, often because data was destroyed or deliberately not taken, as was shown by the WPATH and CAS reports. Ideological doctors were shown to have pushed young people into irreversible surgeries despite knowing, they were recorded saying this, that kids weren't fully aware of the repercussions. What 16-year-old truly understands what it means to no longer be able to have children, for example, one of the many irreversible decisions they are pushed into making at a young age. Many who regret their surgery find themselves in a difficult position. They've gone so far into what some consider a cultish ideology that the sunk cost fallacy means it's too late to fully withdraw. They feel shame and isolation. They feel cut off from the rest of society because of the surgery, but also cut off from their fellow post-op survivors. They have nowhere to go. And worst of all, when they go back to the doctors, they find that those doctors suffer from the same sunk cost bias, because what human being can truly look at themselves in the mirror after performing an unnecessary surgery on a child that ruins their life for purposes that are nothing other than ideological? They have to tell themselves that surgery was a success, that it was necessary, and therefore they tell the patient, as they tell themselves, that they're absolutely fine and they're just having a bit of a difficult time after surgery, but everything's all right. Sometimes the doctors succeed in convincing their patient that their qualms are just superficial and temporary, but the overall effect is that detransitioners stop going back. Even the best doctor in the world couldn't bring back what was so cruelly taken from them. This is why I felt my interview with Ritchie Herron was one of the most important and impactful I've ever done. It's a way to warn others who are being led down this harmful path. Ritchie spoke so damn powerfully and eloquently, without bias or judgment of those now going through what he suffered. Fortunately, for now, the video itself, the interview with Ritchie, stays up and continues to reach new audiences. I implore you to watch and rewatch and share it. There is no way to understate the difference that Ritchie will make in the lives of viewers around the world. But even though the video stays up, it has been demonetized. That means my team can't earn revenue from it. YouTube refuses to let it earn a living. They have ad-friendly guidelines, which is all a bit totalitarian and Orwellian. And if you ask why your video got demonetized, they say, just make sure to abide by our ad-friendly guidelines. Well, I did. I censored swear words, which I hate doing at the start. I censored the names of the doctors. I ensured we didn't say anything racist or sexist or dehumanizing. And yet, there it is. demonetized. This might not seem like a big deal to non-YouTubers, but the fact is that we YouTubers need to hit huge numbers to make meaningful money. It's like with book publishers. Most books don't earn back their advance in revenue, but they release, the book publishers, many books in the hope that the odd one occasionally will make it big, and that pays for all the rest of them. Many of my videos don't turn a profit because running Heretics is extortionate. I employ an editor, a director, and a guest booker/strategist. I always get comments asking why I spend so much, but I decided from the start of Heretics that my guests should have the best possible experience. That means 4K cameras, moving sliders, amazing lighting, the best to capture their stories. And that seems to resonate with you guys because it's not every channel that can go from 0 to 170,000 subscribers in its first 6 months. I thank you so much for that, and I hope it has something to do with the way this channel is run. So when YouTube demonetizes me for speaking out against gender ideology, it is disincentivizing me from making more videos about detransitioners. They don't want the criticism about impinging upon free speech that would come by taking down my channel entirely, I hope anyway. But by demonetizing, they hope to financially squeeze me into avoiding the topic that is most harmful to their ideology: detransitioners. Rumble, everyone says go to Rumble, that's nowhere near big enough or capable enough to make a living for creators. And X, or Twitter, isn't quite there yet with revenue either. So YouTube just totally screw us, and they have a monopoly over ideas, which is really dangerous. The worst part is that YouTube don't tell you what was actually wrong with the video. You have to appeal, and that takes a week, by which time the video had most of its views and you missed out on most of the revenue, and then only then they'll say it was some sort of hateful whatever, or bad words, you used a bad word, without ever giving specifics. All this despite gender-critical beliefs not only being sensible and obvious to most people, but protected by law. So, what's happened is some person who works for YouTube who is either an ideologue or, quite likely as well, someone who doesn't understand the complexities of this topic, has stumbled across it and decided to punish. They won't even think twice about the livelihoods of the many people involved, and forget me. Imagine the YouTubers scrapping it out at the bottom to get their work out there, and they finally hit it big with a big video. It could hit 1 million views. That's a few £1,000s or dollars to pay off your bills. But one decision from one random uninformed person at YouTube puts an end to that with a click of a button. It's that easy. In fact, I've just for the first time ever shared the full episode on X. So go follow me there if you're on X as well, formerly Twitter. I'm on AndrewGold_OK. Now, as for YouTube, how do we stop this? Humans have always been vulnerable to ideologies and groupthink. If you look back through the ages, there has never been a time when society wasn't hoodwinked by some mad idea that seems funny or tragic to us now, be it slavery, quite tragic, white supremacy, horrible, women not having the vote. In that sense, this is nothing new, and society will one day look back on this moment as a strange and odd time. But throughout history, there have always been those who stood strong against irrational beliefs and magical thinking. Those who resisted the trends, even if it meant ostracism, being ostracized, being kicked out of society, for standing up and saying the earth goes round the sun, or standing up and saying a man is a man, a woman is a woman. Ultimately, when there were enough of us fighting back, the tables eventually turned every time. Science won out, the bad ideas lost out. The only way that this madness ends is when you and I start being stronger and braver, not irrationally, not losing our temper, not resorting to identity politics, saying you can't speak because you're not this, or bullying or belittling individual trans people who really need our support right now, but with reason, rational thinking, and compassion. Only then will gender delusion dissipate. Celebrities will slowly stop showing off their gender-fluid kids. Doctors will stop harming children, and women will feel respected and safer in their private spaces. In its place, the next fad will rise, and we will have to stand up against it again. Keep watching this channel. Please do hit the like button. And if you want to help support this channel and see my writings and bonus videos, head over to andrewgoldheretics.com. There's a link in the description. I'll see you over there.